Hello everybody, welcome to Primus. This is another program, B for Belarus, with our beloved, delightful Vladimir Baranich. Volodya, hello.
Hello.
Vlad is country consultant and media analyst, and today we dedicate our program to the theme, Why Belarusians Are Gloomy and Blue, an American and an Englishman in Belarus and in Minsk. The information about the whole thing that stimulated this debate was the publication YouTube channel, impressions about Minsk of Peter Santanello, who visited Minsk and made a YouTube video on how it was very complimentary, very interesting, and many people believe that it could be the work of Bill in Turist and other, even Minister of Tourism of our government, that it was okay, visit Belarus, visit Minsk, it's an unbelievable place. And I want to elaborate on the impression of a foreigner that comes to Belarus as a tourist and somebody who wants to have a deeper and better understanding of our country. So let me first share our impressions of the video that Peter Santanello uploaded in YouTube.
Well, before we continue, I'd like you to watch both those video bloggers. One is Englishman, and this American guy. I have a full list of Belarusian videos of that Englishman on my
YouTube channel is Bold and Bankrupt.
Yes,
so sign in.
The full YouTube list, I made it on my website expat.by, and so the latest video by the American is also there. So you can just go to my website and just see them there. And so to continue with this topic, well, on the first glance, yes, it really creates impression that it has been arranged by, well, let's say tourism or propaganda, somebody, because it's so pro-Belarusian, it's so cool and everything. But, well, maybe except, well, first of all, this impression, I had this impression not because of the general tone, which is excited tone, that's quite general, but when he made these videos from with the drone, because in Belarus using drone is highly restrictive, especially in central part of Minsk. But anyway, when we talk about such exalted, such a cool place, Minsk is cool place, everything
very cheerful, very joyous, very. The guy is obviously sincerely delighted what he
well, that's
enjoys.
General impression of those who come to Minsk for the first time and expecting to see something very low life here, but they see all this glory of marble and granite which he shows there and touches, and he's so impressed with.
Do you believe that he has ever been to the Soviet Union? Because the guy seems not to grasp the idea of showing off.
No,
that totalitarian states essentially made a lot of monumental things in the center, like Bucharest in Ukraine, in Romania, which are full of different places, Moscow, Minsk, Kiev, a lot of marble, a lot of granite to impress people, like showing castles in the open air for the people. But in fact, those were the places to divert attention to the real problems people are facing.
Well, first of all, he is too young to be the eyewitness of the Soviet Union. That's for sure, because we lived that time, and when Soviet Union collapsed, we were 25 that time. So this guy is apparently younger. And to talk about what impresses these people with all this stuff, because there's a great contrast between, say, American public places and public places in those post-totalitarian or authoritarian or this I would call them Asian-type despotism or despotia or something like that. Well, in such countries with just let them be called like totalitarian, authoritarian, the main stress in public places is on to impress foreigners. They actually the monument on itself. In themselves, because it's like if you go to, let's say, Turkmenistan, you can see the golden statues of the rulers there.
In Uzbekistan also, so the central downtown is very clean, a lot of marble, a lot of granite, everything is so impeccable that it's like monumental architecture.
And Minsk is, for recent years, has been remodeled in such a way that it really, especially central part, I don't say about the rest. If you go to the outskirts of Minsk, you will see those gloomy living apartments and nothing special there, and dirt and everything like that. But in the center, yes, it's really a visit card of Minsk, and everything is such impressive for foreigners who
so Volodya, knowing Americans and the foreigners and knowing Belarusians, what impressed this guy so much? What is it the first impression that every foreigner gets when he comes to Belarus, or is it unique in some way?
Well, European wouldn't be impressed so much, because Europeans have even greater and more interesting places. If you go to any European capital, or even in small towns, so with this middle-aged, they're much more beautiful, nitty. And in Germany, say German wouldn't be impressed with that. But American, especially if he comes from, well, say Detroit, no, not from the center of Detroit, where there's Renaissance Center, but from the this part which is still where RoboCop was filmed. So I've been to Detroit twice, and first time in '91 when I studied in the United States, and Detroit was something. If you compare Detroit to Minsk, well, you certainly will be impressed. And if you, for example, compare, say, New York metro, or how it's called, the underground,
right.
And subway, yes. As with the Minsk metro, well, you certainly will be impressed, because it's just industrial style, nothing extra, just dirty. And
but his message was that if you guys listen to what is told and written about Belarus, it's all about politics, it's all about dictatorship, it's all about bad things. And when a person is kind of within this information flow, and he comes to Belarus, to Minsk, he's shocked. He's like, I talked to many Poles who are our neighbors, and before they coming here, they thought they will ask themselves such stupid questions as either toilet paper there, bank cards, do they work there, can we pay, should we get just cash, how careful should we be with the security issues, because they believe that everything they remembered about the Soviet Union, about the Polish Socialist Republic, they kind of referred to modern Belarus. And when they came here, oh gosh, it's so funny, a lot of commotion, a lot of young people, wonderful life, people are smiling, girls are beautiful, the streets are clean, no criminals in the street. So they're kind of positively impressed.
Well, here is the factor. As journalist, as professional journalist, been journalist for 25 years, and I know what propaganda is. And here we deal with propaganda willy-nilly, because even if we go into general idea what Belarus is, as one American told me, when you call Belarus, when we say Belarus, they say, oh, Lukashenko. So Lukashenko is, he likes himself to boast as the last dictator of Europe. So dictatorship is something bad. By default, I mean, I won't go into details, but in propaganda terms, it's bad. It's like Northern Korea.
It's the way you PR it.
Yeah.
Like you remember a lot of socialists in America, Bernie Sanders or Corbyn in Great Britain, they praised Chavez and then Maduro for addressing social issues, for being fairer and more honest than bourgeois and capitalist societies in America and Great Britain, appealing to that particular model. So there was contrary to all the data, all the information real people saw on the ground.
I would call it the clash of civilization in the mind of the American, like here. Because if you go to the videos of that Englishman,
that's right,
bald and bankrupt, you'll see the real Belarus. He's a cool guy. He's a great communicator. He speaks Russian, so he can communicate to people on streets, and he goes into incredible places, into villages, and this guy is amazing. And he just shows a little bit, let's say, because you can't show the real country and the real culture in a few videos, but he is a great communicator, and he talks to people. He drinks with them vodka, etc. And this guy shows, well, let's say, as much as possible the real Belarus. With that American in these 18 minutes, he just showed. His video is more like a PR video, which can be, maybe he took some videos from the PR videos by the Ministry of
I think that
Tourism, etc.
One thing is, for example, you have 1 week to go, spend somewhere, and you say, well, where haven't I been? I've been to Singapore, I've been to Thailand, India, China, I visited dozens of countries worldwide. Oh, there's one country somewhere very close to Russia, and it's unique. A lot of people say that, like North Korea, it's very dangerous.
Yes.
Cuba, well, not very good place to go. What is the list of authoritarian countries in the world? Oh, Belarus. Look at he goes to YouTube, he goes to Google Earth, sees different places. Oh, why should I go there? So it's like a risk. And within 5 days, you come to Minsk, you don't go anywhere else, you see the surface of Minsk, you see the surface of Belarus, and you enjoy that. Guy goes to pubs, goes to cafeteria, to restaurants, visits nightclubs, he talks to girls, talks to people, and what he observes is that, well, why are people so gloomy, so blue? Nobody smiles, the place is cool and clean and tidy, but why aren't people joyous about it? Why aren't they just, you should be happy about living in this place. So he said, oh, come on, guys, go get in here. He does not invite people to come to Belarus and stay here, but say for visiting for 1 week, have cheap beer, beautiful girls, a lot of fun without any harassment and in complete security. That's why not? While the British guy who he married a Belarusian.
Yes.
He visited many places, and he's more interested in in-depth analysis and understanding the culture. What is below the surface that a short-term tourist sees?
Well, again, this is a matter of, as I said, that's a clash of ideas in the mind of the American, because European and British, they wouldn't be so surprised, because they could see everything. If you go to London, it's not less beautiful, ironically, but it's not less beautiful city. Same marble, same granite there as well, same in other European capitals. But for American, yes, because public places are very utilitarian. They don't have so much, I don't know, except maybe Washington, D.C., or which resembles the St. Petersburg very much. But if you go to other capitals, just concrete, everything is quite simple.
Pragmatic, utilitarian. It doesn't need to show off, like to show the wealth of the country. It's like when you go to Arab countries, go to authoritarian and totalitarian countries, you see like marble, you see castles, you see monuments to the wealth of individuals who grabbed power and then grabbed wealth of the people. While you go to America, you see simple but very practical things. Or like you go to Stockholm, you go to Copenhagen, excluding royal places. You see very like modest compared to nouveau riche places, but they're comfortable to live in.
Well, that's the heritage of the Soviet Union. They used to show that common people live very well, everything for the common people. So this marble granite, this cleanness, let's say, on streets, everything is to show that people live well here and the authorities take care of them. And that's I remember first time when we had first it was that time Soviet Union 91. It was exchange between the university I studied at Belarusian State University and the Central Michigan University. And the Americans came first in spring here, and I remember well how they were impressed with that. The same like this guy. I remember that the leader of their group, American professor. The sociologist, his work was sociologist, and we were standing somewhere in metro, and he just touched that wall which covered with marble and said, "Well, marble." Such ironical tone, he said, and explained to me that, well, I haven't been to the United States that time. Later, I went there to study, but he said that, well, United States, everything is, as we said, modest. If you go to in New York, metro in New York or in Washington, it's just concrete, steel, maybe tiles, nothing extra. It just serves the purpose. When he said, didn't say metro, he said, well, marble on train station. He called that train station. Well, train station and marble and granite is something ridiculous for Americans. It's just waste of money because it's not a museum. It is not some place where you have to show this luxury, let's say.
I would compare the observations of the two foreigners we are discussing, the American, the Englishman, with the situation like you meet a girl, right, and you meet her at a dancing party. She is well made up, she's well dressed, she's joyous, she's high, and so this is the way you see her. Then this is the impression of the American. So you see the girl in her best, she's definitely showing off, she wants to impress you, and if you based on this information you make a decision to marry her, then the probability of making mistake is very high. While the Englishman, he wants to understand the country in more detail. He wants to see cause and effect relations. He wants to see culture of the people, how different people behave in different situations. That's why it's like when you start to know the person, right? What he sees, how he works, how he communicates, his attitude to other people, his attitude to property, to work, to achievement, to his history, to the future, then you have a much better understanding of the country, of the place you visit.
Funny, but maybe here just came an idea to me that maybe girl factor is the decisive factor in this story, because for American,
he didn't pay much attention to that in his movie, in his clip.
Well, he didn't, but there are girls accompanying him all the time. The same is with that Englishman, but Englishman, he's just it's an absolutely different attitude to that guy and this guy. And
the Englishman married a Belarusian.
Yes, but he knows what Belarusians are, let's say, inside, and what Belarusian girls are. But for American, it's a really shock to compare their girls, emancipated, feminine, they call feminist-like, and everything like that. With our astoundingly beautiful girls. Our girls are really beautiful in comparison with American. And besides, they're, again, affordable. One old American told me that Belarus is the modern days, is the Cuba of Batista times, casinos and prostitutes. So these girls, in many cases, they are not prostitutes, but they would be.
They are looking for love in different places.
Yes,
offering different services not acceptable in the well-respected and the societies like Polish, French, or Italian.
Well, same would be, you can find the same girls in Poland, in Czech Republic.
Not in such numbers, no.
Of course.
I don't know very many Poles who come here with the same purpose. So they compare countries.
That's correct. I mean, the girls, beautiful girls. Polish girls, the same beautiful girls. But, I mean, here, when he talks to girls perceive he is the object here. They consider him he is like, prey. They consider him, maybe he is a future, well, maybe not a client, but maybe future husband. Maybe we'll be able to
That's right.
get him married.
Fishing for a rich or a foreigner, and this is like one of the ways to leave the country for good, to emigrate.
Yes, and so we don't have so many, Americans especially here. I have some statistics that most tourists coming for girls, for specific tourism, coming for casinos and especially for girls.
I would call it coming to find harmony in personal life.
Yes, mostly Italians, Turks, and Germans.
That's right.
Americans are very rare fishes in this pond.
Probably they discover Belarus will have many more tourists.
Well, again, United States is too far. So, although maybe this guy came due to this.
Another good reason to have direct flight to New York or to Alabama.
But actually, it's not very easy for Americans. You just take a flight and you can stay here for 30 days without visa if you come here by airplane. So it's much easier. But again. I think these two bloggers, Englishman and American, are good example of two civilizations, let's say, two perceptions of the world. In Britain, they know little about Belarus, but it's still, they still, this is empire. I've seen many things. You can't surprise something, British with something extra. I don't know, some extra culture. But for American, Americans don't even know where, for example, this Belarus is. They certainly don't know. They don't know where Russia is. They don't know where.
This is another. So being unknown is probably one of the assets of a country like Belarus. So many more people can discover that, and that will be beneficial both to Americans and to Belarus, because we need more tourists. And when they come here, probably they will start influencing our ladies. Or I would like to. I wish I had a chance to watch a video like that made by a girl for a change, right? That'll be interesting what the girl's perception of Belarus
it would be interesting, especially with some, with feminist attitude.
But I want to draw your attention and to hear your comments on the following issue, because what both of them acknowledged and witnessed is this character of Belarusians who do not smile, and the smile is a reward. It's like Belarusians start smiling when they know a person. It's like when they say it's genuine, it's from the bottom of the heart, it's not artificial, and it is said to be the evidence of our being more sincere, honest with ourselves. While Americans, they smile artificially. You never know whether he means it or he doesn't mean it. And from this perspective, why do think Belarusians are so gloomy? When you go to take a bus or a trolley, or you take a metro, you do not see many people smiling, talking. Now everybody is in his or her telephone, smartphone, watching or reading something or listening in earphones. So there's no communication. Belarusians are like atoms. They not only isolated from the whole world because few people travel. They tend to self-isolate themselves from the whole world. And is it gloominess or lack of smile or cheerlessness is a way to say, don't interfere with me, stay away from me, I am on my own?
I think this Belarus without smile is a myth, I think, because I've been to many countries. I don't see a difference between Prague, Vienna, I don't know, other Warsaw. Same people are there. I mean, they don't, except in the United States, they smile in the United States again. If you look, well, it's in the United States, it's a part of culture. As former Americanist, specialist in American literature, I studied that question. It came from those times of Wild West when smiling you showed that you're not going to shoot somebody. If you meet somebody, you're not going to draw a pistol or this revolver. Maybe this is part of the culture, so I wouldn't call the Belarusians are such smileless people. They can smile, but if they smile sincerely, but not necessarily. The new generation, they are being taught to smile. Like if you go to some business, you'll find a secretary or somebody, they will smile to you, but that will be American smile, I would call it. So people are just, doing their own business. Why shall they smile? They don't know you.
No, but this is the way to isolate or to protect your privacy. In America, that's a smile. You smile and nobody knows whether what's your state of mind, what is your attitude to the whole world. While in Belarus, by definition, by default, it's lack of smile. It's kind of sober attitude. It's indifference. It's rather like not hostility, but rather like this the state of no cheer.
No, this is purely, I would say, called behavioral cultural code, because in the United States, smile is a feature of culture. You meet somebody with somebody's eyes, and you smile. Just smile. Well, it's in their nature. I say it comes back to Wild West. Maybe that's again the myth, but again it comes back to Wild West, where you smile to somebody, you show him you're not going to draw a revolver and to shoot him. So here in Belarus, smiling to a stranger is rather a bad manner, I would say. So nobody's going to smile to you if if they don't know you, or they are not in proper situation where you have to show this smile, maybe mutual, not sympathy, but something, which causes this smile. So it is not a part of the culture code. So it's nothing, so to say, nothing, just culture, nothing personal. So it's a great myth about Belarusians, gloomy. They just, people, life of people just concerned about themselves.
No, but is it somehow connected with the material well-being, with the level of wages and pensions? Because you look at different indicators. Like, for example, today Belarus is like in the top 50 of the countries with the best healthcare system in the world. You look at the social progress index made by one U.S. think tank, and it's 48th in the world out of 149 countries, with GDP per capita in PPP, purchasing price parity, 17,741. So that's kind of middle or above middle income. So, and that makes us 55th in the world, which is not that bad. And we have access to basic knowledge, we have basic human needs met, we have many things which place us that high in the top of, in the world hierarchy. So from the perspective of this matrix, Belarusians shouldn't be gloomy, or they don't know how well off they are compared to other countries of the world, or they have compared their way of living, their lifestyle, their income to that of Poland, Germany, Italy, United States, and other countries where definitely people live much better. Right now, especially right now, when people go to Poland, ordinary people with manual labor professions like builders, nurses, they go to Poland and they're paid 3-4 times more than in Belarus. So they make a conclusion. So we live in poverty, we suffer. While we look at the statistics and different indices, you do not have this gloomy picture.
Well, smile is smiling out of, let's say, out of your mood does not reflect your, let's say, monetary situation. I mean, shortly, money do not make people happier. So smiling is not something that reflects their internal. I can tell how to call this. Well, again, Belarusians, I would like to repeat again, Belarusians are not less smiley than, say, Poles.
So that's your observation. Okay,
yes, that's my observation, because I could compare, and I heard this many times, and when I traveled all around the world, I could watch it. Even in India, I didn't see smiling people on streets. Well, there's poverty, yes, but
in India, when I took a train to Taj Mahal, and there's at one point that was we took a taxi, and that was really horrible because we saw the way
I've been there.
Bricks were made, and they were made the way probably people made bricks in the beginning of the century.
Well, traditional craft.
No, that was probably traditional. But the way they dancing bears and the poverty that Belarusians couldn't even imagine.
Yes.
So
Agra is just.
That was really for me going to ancient times.
Yes,
and when I was told about the beauty of Indian civilization, how noble it is, gosh, it stinks.
Yes. Yes,
it really is naturally, physically stinks.
If you go on streets of Agra, where Taj Mahal is placed, it's a horrible place. There are corpses on streets. I mean, sometimes when they burn them, they are just...
So, Volodya, you weigh different factors. You've been around the world. Why don't Belarusians appreciate what they have and smile about it? This way they would stimulate each other, because they would create the environment, social environment, where they can achieve more. They just boost each other, they just help each other, instead of saying, oh gosh, everything is so filthy, so shit, that's why let's move out of here, because this is not the country where we can survive and live and bring up our children.
Well, again, this is part of traditional culture. Belarusians smile. If you look at them on weddings, on some parties, they smile a lot, especially when they drink booze and in their proper company. They always smile. So they're nice people. When you talk to them, if you get familiar with them and get friendly, that's fine. But again, here we talk from the perspective of the American culture, and where smile is must be of the behavioral code of the social culture or something like that, because they have to smile. It's like, well, girls maybe want here you'll notice that girls are more concerned about their makeup, about their dress, how they dressed. That's one sociologist explained that to me, that our women, young women, not necessarily young, all women, it's a kind of, like genetic code. They consider themselves as a commodity. They have to sell themselves, just to present. It's maybe again the part of the culture. And so girl won't smile, but she'll smile to you with her appearance. Let's say how she dressed.
Remember Chris de Burgh, this dancing girl is making eyes at me. Right. I'm sure she's working for the KGB in this paradise as cold as ice.
And they certainly will smile to you if they find out that you're American or other foreigner. So in this case, no doubt they'll smile.
But this is something that makes me kind of not angry, but unease, because when you treat foreigners by definition that he's a foreigner better, with more respect, with a smile on your face, while you treat your counterparts with the gloom and no smile at all, that means that you do not respect yourself. You don't have self-esteem high enough to believe that all Belarusians deserve, like yourself, are people of dignity, people of that are worthy of being in a good position. So essentially, this kind of Aboriginal approach that Aborigines, when they met Europeans, oh gosh, Europeans, they're almost gods, right? So right now, I remember in 1991 when we first saw Americans and British, oh, they were godlike, they were like angels, with a lot of cash, a lot of knowledge, so we were so stupid, let's teach us and train us and baptize us to your religion in a way. Right now, when we see that people are different in different countries, right? So you have the access to the wealth of knowledge the way any American, any British man can have. And you still see yourself, Belarusians, as inferior to foreigners. That is outrageous.
I wouldn't generalize. I don't like generalizations like that because different girls, again, different. If you go to a place where you meet such girls, let's say in a pub or in some restaurant or another place,
we don't go there with you.
Yes.
We are too old for the shit.
yes. But I mean, certainly there will be those girls who are more prone to such approach.
Like in every country. I think that you go to Warsaw, but that's the whole attitude. I think that what we Belarusians lack is self-esteem and dignity. Essentially, if you believe that somebody is better off because he is a foreigner, because he's from America or Britain, so he's like a more noble, he's wealthier, he's more potent as a man. Come on, that's kind of it's mysticism. It's ignorance. I would say.
Some girls are much wealthier than this guy.
Exactly.
They would take him as a bum because he's apparently kind of downshifted. Traveling all around the world. Those guys usually are poor in comparison with some of our girls who have cars, nice cars,
apartments, they have a good job, well-paid job, they have good social network.
The daughters of those wealthy parents. So again, this is generalization. And we're talking about this video. We see just a video of a guy who was, let's say, brainwashed that Belarus is something like Northern Korea, where you would expect something terrible, gloomy, as we call it, gloomy and blue. But instead, he sees a nice, civilized city, people without horns, without, tails, and just looking.
Not drunk.
Not
dressed in fur coats and stupid hats.
So
stylish.
Just a matter of perception, of maybe anticipation. He anticipated something terrible from the Soviet. Again, talking about the Soviet Union, what he could see about the Soviet Union if you watch Hollywood movies, if he perceives something about the Soviet period. Well, there are many mythology, like these stupid movies about Soviet people who are kind of savages. But actually, he knew, he was well aware that Lee Harvey Oswald lived in Minsk.
Oh yeah, he
mentioned this, and actually,
I wouldn't follow his steps though.
But the local guy, the local girl, didn't know that. He asked her, and most of the young people didn't know about it.
Because there's something that is only people who are interested in politics and some stylized facts about our country now.
I have tourists, for those foreigners who, especially for Americans, I have kind of tour for them for the famous where Lee Harvey Oswald was, was visiting. It's quite interesting story, and it's for Americans it surely would be a tourist attraction.
Some people argue that Harvey Oswald was brainwashed and indoctrinated in Minsk so much that he hated American life, American politics, and shot President Kennedy. He was used as
he was indoctrinated by his wife. I mean, the beauty of his wife Marina, and so she
worked for KGB.
She was the only reason he stayed here, and
that's the way way KGB worked. Come on.
I actually don't know whether KGB, worked with them closely or not. But
I'm sure that not a single foreigner, like all these hotels that time, Юбилейная, Planeta, were awash with whores working for intelligence.
Of course, but still, it's a story. It's interesting story about Lee Harvey Oswald. I would call it one of the major attractions for Americans, like for Americans of Jewish origin. There are a lot of things which attract them here because great Jewish heritage here. But for just ordinary Americans, except Lee Harvey Oswald, but what country can boast about this?
Well, boast. Come on.
I mean, such attraction.
I wouldn't think that this is an attraction at all.
No, it's funny. I mean, just something makes Belarus and United States close in something, at least in this point.
When people say that we should look for Americans and rich Canadians with Belarusian roots, they come up with such ideas as Harrison Ford with Wayne Gretzky and many stars of Hollywood movies and business. So essentially, it's okay. Even if they find it out and invite them here, so what can they do here? Can they invest? It's one thing is when you meet, like some people meet Alexander Lukashenko harvesting watermelons or doing something other. But when it comes to business, okay, guys, what can I buy? Can I buy stock of Belarusian stock, shares of some companies? How can I make money here? So how can you benefit from my being an American and being close to American or Canadian or British elite? And this is a question that is still open.
You hinted me to a very funny story, which I think will be good illustration for this. Belarusians consider this attitude, I call this money bag attitude. This little story. Now, back in beginning of the 90s, when there were most Americans who were coming here to Belarus were American Protestant missionaries, evangelical missionaries mostly. And at the time I was helping, one guy, that was working with the Baptist, there is Baptist, church, let's say. And there was, now he's famous pastor, but that time, I remember, actually, Baptists at that time were first pioneers in taking some gain from Americans because they were taking a lot of money. Americans were bringing here a lot of money for pastors, for missionaries, and for building new churches. And I remember that such pastor once told, I was young at that time, I was helping to translate them for their daily routine and taking excursions. And he said to them, take good care of those pastors because they're money bags.
Money bags, right?
Money bags. This pastor who teaches, who preaches in the church,
values, right?
Values, God
morality,
loves you and everything.
Right.
But his attitude, he sincerely told me the money bags. So every American is considered here, or not American, as you said, how can they benefit you personally? Oh, they understand this very well. They're money bags.
Right. So I think that Volodya and I would agree that we welcome many more foreigners to our country. Let them explore it and let them meet other people. Let them share their culture, their money, their expertise, whatever they have. And the more partnerships we have, the higher the probability that our own people would start thinking about the way they see life. They see their own lives, not through Belarusian television prism, but through the eyes of other people who can compare their lives with that of British. Because when you describe Europe as gay Europe because some people hate gays or lesbians, or when America is country of
here's gay-free country.
Promiscuity, but I think that there is more nudity and promiscuous things in Belarus than America, then you have to relate wanted to revise your views, and I think that foreigners can be good catalysts for this kind of revision. Volodya, thank you very much for your insights and for your evaluation of not only videos but Belarusians and foreigners in our country, and we look forward to many more programs in our B for Belarus series. Thank you so much. See you guys next time. Please, if you have anything in mind, if you want us to explore or answer any questions, please go to Expat BY or put down your questions in social networks where Volodya and I visit regularly, and let's have a constructive dialogue. Cheers. See you.
See you later.